Okay, so here we have the ingredients for our stuffing. We have a large onion that's been chopped, 2 ribs of celery that's been finely diced. We have about 1 pound of mushrooms that have been sliced, a cup of pecans that have been coarsely chopped, toasted and coarsely chopped. We have, and this is what makes it really special, our roasted chestnuts. And I don't bother to roast my own chestnuts and peel them. It's a real pain. So I just buy chestnuts already been roasted and peeled, and you just need to open up the package and it looks like this. And before you put it into the stuffing, you just need to break it up into slightly smaller pieces. Just use your fingers and squeeze and it comes apart like that, and that's all you need to do. Then I have fresh sage that's been chopped, finely chopped. And I didn't have, you can use fresh thyme. I didn't have to have any, but you can use dry thyme. And 1 pound of pork sausage, just breakfast sausage. Now if you don't like any of these, and then of course I just buy the stuffing bread that's ready to go. You can make your own if you like, but this is perfectly fine. Now if you don't like any of these ingredients, you can always sub it out with something else. So like instead of, if you don't like chestnuts or you don't like the nuts, you can leave them out. You can dice up an apple, and that would be a good one. Another combination is like craisins and apples. Yeah, that would be delicious. So just whatever you particularly like, you can put in your stuffing. But this is the combination that I use every year, and it's been a winner at our house. So all you need to do now is to saute all these veggies. You don't have to do anything with this. This is fine. But saute the veggies, and then you have to brown the sausage, and then we put it all together. I'm cooking the sausage. Break it into small pieces. Not too small, but kind of like about 1/2-inch pieces. And then you brown them until they're fully cooked. Okay, now we see we've had all the vegetables have been sauteed. So the mushrooms and the onions and celery. So you want to saute it until the mushrooms have browned a little, and all the vegetables are soft. And here is the sausage that's been fully cooked, browned and fully cooked. And now we put it all together. The chestnuts are in small pieces, not too small, still chunky. And the sage that's what's cut up. Now the dry thyme, if you have fresh thyme, put in about 1/4 cup of fresh thyme leaves. But if it's dried, we just put in a good tablespoon. And then our nuts, maybe pecans or walnuts. We'll mix that all together. And good. Season well with pepper. So now this is ready to go in the refrigerator, because I do this a day before, until we are ready to bake our turkey. A turkey is no different from any other bird. So if you're familiar with a chicken, the anatomy of a chicken is the same in the turkey. So here's the drumstick and the thigh here. So we're going to separate the thigh from the rest, and what we do is we want to make sure to preserve all the skin that's on the breast. So we pull this out. We're going to cut along here, just separating, cutting off the skin. And then we feel here for what is called the oyster, which is some nice big chunk of meat here along the backbone. And then we pull, and you can hear the crack, and here you can see where the bone, the joint of the bone, and you just cut through very simply to free. There's one leg. Do it on the other side. Okay, so now the legs are off. And what we need to do is take out the backbone. Okay, so with the breast, to keep moist, we like to dry brine it. So dry brine is different from wet brine. Wet brine is normally when you soak it in a saline solution, and the saline solution, the water gets absorbed into the breast meat and it keeps it moist during cooking. Well, that is one way of doing it, but it's been found that if you do that, it alters the texture of the meat, and also it tends to dilute the flavor of the turkey. So there's another method called dry brining, where instead of soaking the whole breast in a water saline solution, you just basically sprinkle salt all over it and then putting it in the refrigerator at least overnight, at least 8 hours, 8 to 12 hours is best. So here we have a solution, a mixture. Here we have a mixture of kosher salt. So there's 3 tablespoons of kosher salt and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And we're going to liberally sprinkle this over the white meat. We don't have to use all of it, but we just want to have it nicely coated. I'll use it, so I'm going to put it on a rack. Just coat it all over. All directions. So this, I'm going to turn over. I'm going to put it on a rack and set it on a pan. So this is going to go in the refrigerator overnight, uncovered. If you're going to do it for more than one overnight, so you, say for 24 hours or more, then you would cover it with plastic so it doesn't all dry out. But the baking powder is supposed to help crisp the skin, and the salt will do its magic in retaining moisture in the white meat. Okay, now we're going to prepare the thighs. So here we have the thigh, and we're going to debone the thigh, which means we're going to run our knife along either side of the bone, laying bare the bone. And then you pick it up where you can find, stick your knife through. It's easy as that. Just scrape. And then just with little cuts, find the joint, cut through the joint, and release the bone. There. And there's more for the stock pot. Okay, now our thighs are ready for wrapping up. So now that it's boneless, at least the thighs are boneless, we have a mixture of 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of chopped sage, fresh sage, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We're going to divide this in half, and we're going to put half that mixture on the inside of each thigh. Okay, so we have some twine here, some cooking twine, and I'm going to wrap this up into a cylinder like this. Okay, and there we have it. Okay, now this is ready to go in the fridge. We're going to cover this one with plastic. Okay, so now we have all the ingredients for the turkey stock. So here we have the backbone that I've cut into, I've used my cleaver and cut through to make smaller pieces. And this is the neck, there's the thigh bones, and also our giblets, which we can open up. See what's inside. So we have the heart, the gizzard, and the liver. Now the liver you really don't want in the broth, but you could just cook it briefly, but don't cook it for a long time. So you can just dunk it in for a little while, but it's best to cook it separately. So we're going to just take this away. So all this is going to get roasted in the oven to brown. So we have a large onion chopped up into big chunks, 1 carrot, 1 celery, and 6 cloves of garlic that are unpeeled. So all this will go into a pan. Okay, so now we're going to put everything into this baking pan. I'm not going to roast the heart. I'm just going to roast these pieces. I'm not going to roast the gizzard and the heart. I'll just put that into the broth, but I won't roast it. And so I have some oil. So this will go into a 400-degree oven and roast for about 45 minutes. And then we will, after it roasts, then we'll put everything into a large stock pot, cover it with water, and let it simmer to get a nice, beautiful broth. So these are the roasted turkey pieces, and onion and carrots and celery, after they've roasted in the oven for about 40 minutes. So this is the stock after it's been simmering for an hour and a half. You can see it's very rich, and once you strain out all the solids and defat it, it's ready to be used to make gravy and also to moisten your stuffing. Here's what we prepared yesterday, last night, and that's ready to go. And we're going to add the breading. I like to use a combination of cornbread and also just a regular breading. You can see this makes a lot of stuffing. Now we're going to add some of our turkey stock that we made yesterday. You want to just moisten it because it's going to get a lot of juice from the turkey as it cooks. So this stuffing will lay on the bottom of the roasting pan, and the turkey will be laid, the turkey pieces will be laid on top of it, so that all the juices that come out of the turkey while it's cooking will be absorbed by the stuffing. And that's it. It's ready to be put in the roasting pan. So my oven is preheated, and here I've taken my turkey out of the refrigerator after it sat overnight, and it looks nice and dry here. So we are going to now brush it with a little bit of oil. Okay, the breast is now ready to go into the oven. In this, I have it in a nonstick skillet that's large enough to fit it, and it's oven proof. And the oven has been preheated to 425 degrees, and so the turkey breast will bake for 30 minutes at 425 degrees. So now we're going to get the pan ready for receiving the turkey. This is a roasting pan. And you see I'm not using a rack in it. We're going to put the stuffing directly in the pan. Probably a good idea to just brush it with a little bit of oil to prevent any sticking. Get most of it in here. I'm going to mound it, try to shape it into a rectangle so that the turkey covers the majority of the stuffing. Whatever doesn't get covered by the turkey has a tendency to burn. So you need to watch out for that. Let's just try to get as much of the stuffing in here as we can. So we're shooting for about a 10 by 12 rectangle. Might not be able to fit all of it in here, but we'll get most of it. Whatever doesn't fit in here, you can just put into a casserole dish, put a little more of the stock in, and bake it off to serve as well. Looks pretty good. And the turkey is now out of the oven. It roasted for 30 minutes at 425 degrees. And now we need to transfer this very hot turkey breast onto the top and arrange it on top of the stuffing. Now, I have these silicone oven mitts, which is very helpful. If you don't have a silicone oven mitts, you can use just wads of paper towel to lift up the bird. So let's try to do this. Just want to lay it on top like that, tucking as much underneath the bird as possible, of the stuffing as possible. Okay. And then we also have the legs that we can position. And before we put it on top, we're going to brush it with the outside with some oil. And season with a little bit of salt, pepper, this is a stuffing is nicely tucked in. Actually, what I had done is I put the, couldn't stand it, I couldn't waste any of the stuffing, so I just had put the rest of it in the pan. So it's really a huge mound for such a small bird. But here we go. It's ready to go into the oven. So it's going to continue roasting at 425 degrees for half an hour. Then after half an hour, you turn down the temperature to 350 degrees and roast until the breast registers 150 degrees internal temperature and the legs reach 160 degrees. Now your best friend in the kitchen here is an instant read thermometer, and this is essential for getting accurate temperature reading and ensuring that your turkey does not dry out. Okay, so after 45 minutes at 350 degrees, then you start checking every so often to see how you're coming. And once it hits the 150 degree mark for the breast, then take it out. And you'll see that your legs actually will get done before the breast will.